Hey guys, as we head into training camp, it's time to talk about the NFC East. Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. Now for me, the biggest question with the Cowboys is this team ready to make a deep playoff run? In 2 of the past 3 seasons, they've gotten to the playoffs, won a playoff game, and were knocked out in the divisional round. Are they ready to get past that divisional round to the conference championship and maybe go back to the Super Bowl? This team has big expectations going into this year, and if they cannot live up to it, it's not going to be pretty in the city of Dallas. Second thing I want to talk about is Travis Frederick on the offensive line. Travis Frederick, before taking the year off, was one of the best centers, if not the best center in the league. When he was gone, the line kind of suffered. Nick Barton wasn't playing like his usual self. Teron Smith was banged up. The rest of the offensive line at times was inconsistent. And if Travis Frederick is able to come back, does that mean that the Dallas offensive line can get back to being one of the best in the NFL? And lastly, I want to know how good this defense is going to be this year. This defense, they have some really nice players, but can they put it all together, play as a unit, and be one of the best defenses in the league? For me, the key to Dallas' season is not going to be how far Dak Prescott on the offense can take him. It's going to be how much the defense is going to be able to help out the offense. All right, let's move on to the New York Giants. Now, they drafted Daniel Jones with the 6th overall pick. And they're trying to say that Eli is still the starter. They don't have any plans to play Jones right away. I just want to say this. Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, Mitchell Trubisky. Why did I just name those 4 quarterbacks? Because all 4 of those guys were thought to be players that weren't going to start right away. What ended up happening? Both Flacco and Wentz were week 1 starters. And Trubisky and Watson both started before week 5. Whenever a team tells me after they take a quarterback pretty high, oh, he's just going to sit and watch, we're not going to play him right away, this guy's still our starter, I think, well, look at the history. You only think of 2 guys that really sat and watched, and that was Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And Lamar still started in his first year. So take whatever the Giants say with a grain of salt, because I'm not buying it one bit. I say at some point Daniel Jones does start, and I think Eli's time in New York is going to be over sooner than we think. But quarterback is the least of their problem. Right now, they have to figure out how is this offensive line going to improve. Their offensive line has been routinely one of the worst in the NFL, and the amount of times they have tried to fix it have gone completely wrong. They've got to figure out who is the future on this offensive line, who can help this offensive line protect whoever the quarterback is and open up holes for Saquon Barkley. And lastly for me, who's going to step up on the front 7? Their secondary is fine. They got some solid players in that secondary. But the defensive line and the linebackers, that's a big question mark for me. If they cannot find solid players on the defensive line and in the linebacking core, then the secondary is not going to hold up. A secondary will only go as far as the front 7 will let them. With Nick Foles now in Jacksonville, that means Carson Wentz has to be healthy and has to be ready by the time the season starts. Last year, he was recovering from a torn ACL, and even though they played it safe with him, I don't think he was fully 100% when they put him back on the field. Now, they're being careful with him. They're making sure that he's going to be 100% because he is the future of this team. They just gave him a big contract, believing in him. Carson Wentz able to put those injuries behind him and play like he did in 2017. The Eagles have a quarterback for the next 10 years. Whereas the Giants are okay in the secondary, they got some players there. The Eagles, I got a big question mark there. I'm not entirely sure who's going to start in that secondary. You got a bunch of players that could be in for starting roles, but I'm not sure who's the favorite. And the last thing for me is not a question of talent, it's a question of playing time, specifically in the skill positions, because Philadelphia has a bunch of guys that would be solid contributors to any team. So Philadelphia, they really have to figure out who's the best of the bunch there, who's going to get most of the playing time. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of those guys end up getting traded because Philadelphia just doesn't have the playing time for them. And lastly, we have Washington. Washington was another team that took a quarterback in the first round. However, unlike the Giants and Daniel Jones, Washington is expecting Dwayne Haskins to be a starter right away. And really, with what his teammates are saying, I fully expect him to. However, how is he going to do in the pros as a rookie? He only had one season as a starter in college. And those one season starters, they kind of struggle early on. So is Haskins going to be ready to play right away? Alright, their best offensive lineman in Trent Williams has asked for a trade. And we all know the situation that's going on. He said the Redskins were not handling his injury seriously. We all know what's going on there. So what's going to happen to Trent Williams? Is he really going to be traded from Washington? Like I mentioned, that's their best offensive lineman, one of the best left tackles in the league. If he's gone, that offensive line has a big hole right there. And lastly for me, this linebacking core is a big question mark. Ryan Kerrigan is a starter there, and that's about it. Reuben Foster tore his ACL, he's done for the year. Now they have to figure out who the heck is going to start in this linebacking core. The linebacking core is one of the most important parts of a defense. You don't have a good linebacking core, you're not going to have a great defense. Redskins have got to find solid starters there if they want to have a successful season. Alright guys, so that was the NFC East training camp preview. Next up is the AFC North. See you then.